Well, hi friends, I'm Brian Cosby. This is Provide and Protect. And today we're doing a reaction to a video that I found, that I came across, and I want to share it with you and give some responses to it and why I think this channel might be my new favorite channel out there. So there's all kinds of YouTube channels out there. When I come across one that combines knowledge and experience and a depth of understanding, I pay attention. And especially when it comes from someone who's been around the block for many years. And even though this particular channel is dealing with the trades and construction, that kind of thing, I think the message would be applicable across all kinds of vocations and experiences. And that's why I want to share it with you today. But before we get into today's video, if you've not already done so, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you and your support. With that, let's jump right in. So this particular video by Essential Craftsman is titled The Mindset of Doing High Quality Work. And certainly something that is true and applicable for all of us, no matter what kind of vocation or field in which we serve and work. And so what I want to do is share some clips of this with you and react to some of the things he points out that I think are so beneficial for all of us.
I want to talk for just a second to you young guys that have stepped into the world of construction. Really, it's the world I know the best. And you are interested in doing better work. You are interested in, as you are learning, you want to learn how to do really high quality work. Craftsmanship appeals to you, and you are stuck in a world, or you are earning your daily bread in a world that's more interested in paying for production than for quality. You find yourself in the bind between what you want to do and what you have to do. It's a familiar bind. It's something that we all encounter, and we all have to decide for ourselves where we come down on the continuum between fast and dirty and slow and perfect. How are you going to bridge the gap in order to have satisfaction, build a client base, build a reputation, earn enough money to support your family, and at the end of the day, be able to look in the mirror when you shave with the lights on and not feel like you ripped somebody off?
I'm going to stop him right there. So he raises a very important point on this, that there is this tension in doing something fast, being super productive, but maybe not the highest quality, and then taking your time and doing it the proper way, the right way. And we're facing this all the time. And even when I was building this barn that I'm in right now, all the time I'm having to think, man, I only have an hour. Could I just do as fast as I can and forget the quality, or just take my time and do it the right way? And there is a level of margin of error. There's a margin of, to what degree can you, are you doing a margin of a 1/4 inch, or is it an 1/8 inch, or a 1/16 of an inch? What kind of job is it? So there is that, I understand. But the other thing he raises here is also important, is your reputation. Are you a guy or a girl, if you're watching this, are you a guy that has a reputation for doing things properly and doing things the right way? Is that what you're known for? And so certainly an important point I think you raised here. Let's keep going.
A lot of people starting out make the mistake of thinking that high quality work is entirely a function of mastering the tools, keeping them sharp, learning how to use them efficiently so that all of your moves have a professional appearance. Well, that's part of it. But the first part of doing high quality work is the mindset that you bring to your job. So then it just becomes a matter of mastering some techniques, which is much easier to do than finding the desire to always do it in an excellent way. So if you're working in construction, education, at least part of the education of how to do excellent work, is right at your fingertips. And it's watching the people around you carefully, including all of the subcontractors, not just the people who are doing what you're doing, but all the work that's going on needs to be watched. You steal these secrets with your eyes.
That's so true. I'm going to pause right there. So, to always be watching he's mentioning these subcontractors, but learning from others. We have the world of YouTube today. Not everyone that was growing up 20, 30, 40 years ago, their dad, their granddad, they couldn't learn everything, or their mom or grandmother. They couldn't learn everything because their dad or their grandfather didn't know. And so they didn't get to know unless they found a book or something that had maybe some diagrams, pictures, explained how to do something properly. But today, not only do you have books and diagrams, but you have YouTube, and certainly there's people around you. There's nothing better than learning directly from someone who knows how to do something properly, building something, constructing something, and that's what kind of he's talking about here. But again, you can apply this in all kinds of fields and vocations. So let's keep going.
The corollary to that is, every time you walk into a building or a parking lot or a park or a public space or anywhere that you find yourself, you look at the work that's been done around you. You keep your eyes open. You look for opportunities to go into spaces that are different than the spaces that you ordinarily go into and examine the work. Because once you know what truly excellent work looks like, you know what your target is. And then you can start applying the techniques that you can learn either through practice or asking to creating work that looks like the excellent work you have identified. So the definition of great work, at least the first way we think about great work, excellent work, is how nicely does it fit? What is the allowable tolerance on the joinery?
Allowable tolerance.
Well, that is what's at the surface, but excellent work goes all the way back, and there are allowable tolerances all the way back to how closely the dirt was graded and how tightly the compaction was put in. So the allowable tolerance that we're working to ranges from perfect to sloppy, and it's not always the same, because one aspect of the tolerance is how long does it take, balanced against how good does it really need to be. And hitting that sweet spot between the time invested and the quality of the product complying with the specifications of the job or the expectations of the person that's signing the check is what constitutes excellent work most of the time.
What a great point. That balance, but knowing the expectation for the project that you're working on, so important. And also, I mean, he's talking about how that level of margin, the difference in the level of margin of from something that's pretty sloppy to something that's perfect, it does depend on the project. It depends on the expectation and how important that project is. So great point.
So as you're learning allowable tolerances, and as your technique gets better, and your control of the tools, and your ability to make them sharp, and the ability to cut on the right side of the line and press, as your ability to do the work with your hands increases, the number of times you have to tear work out is going to decrease. But doggone it, I don't care how long you've been doing this work, one of the vital skills that you have to develop is the ability to force yourself to rework something that just has to be done better. Now, if you're on a payroll, you can only tear out the work that your boss is happy to have you tear out. And most of the time, the amount of work that he's happy to have torn out is zero. But that doesn't mean you can't come back on your own time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever done something or built something and you do it and you're like, this is just poor shoddy work. I remember putting up some drywall in a bathroom with a friend, and we finished, so to speak. We looked at the job, we're like, this just looks awful. And we talked to our boss, and he came in and says, yeah, guys, this is not going to work. It was bowed. It wasn't joined properly. The lines weren't even. So we had to tear all that out and start over. And, there's something to that where if you did something the wrong way, you put in a screw on constructing or assembling a project the wrong way. I know it's a pain to tear that out to start over again, but sometimes that is the right option. And you feel better after it as well.
For your own satisfaction and fix something. Now, maybe you have an employer who is happy with making it right no matter what it takes. Lucky you. And if you're willing to make it right, lucky him or her. But in general, and especially once you open your own shop, once you're doing your own work, the ability to bite the bullet, tear something out, throw it away, and do it again better is your friend when you're wanting to become a top-notch fill in the blank, whatever it is you're doing. And let me just throw this out. Nothing will build your brand and build credibility and increase trust on a job faster than having the owner come in and find you tearing something out on a bid job, and they say, whoa, I don't want to pay for that. You say, no, you're not paying for that. I'm paying for this because I'm not happy with it, and you shouldn't be either. Man,
Yes.
it doesn't take many of those for your reputation as the go-to guy to spread and spread and spread. So let me stress this just as hard as I can. You've got to develop the systems and the habits that are going to automatically produce good work. I mean, there are routines that you can set up for yourself, particularly in the more mundane aspects, the stuff that's behind the scenes, that's structural, where if you follow the protocol that you have seen and that you have learned and that you've practiced, you can go on to autopilot, and at the end of the day, your work's going to be good. The trick is you have to make sure those are the best systems to accomplish that work, and you've got to watch the systems that other people are employing.
Yeah.
Because it's a system and the habit, the things that you have trained your hands to do without thinking about it, that are going to sort of set a baseline in your work that is either exceptional or, frankly, good enough.
Yeah. So, one thing is to be intentional about improving those habits and those qualities of your work. There's times where I'm using a chainsaw, I'm using an axe, I'm doing some forestry work, and there are better systems, as he's talking about, than what I used to do with, cutting down a tree. There's a number of different ways to cut down a tree, but depending on the tree, if the tree is leaning a certain way, there might be a better system, a better way to go about it than just one, and or the one that you know. And so, always being improving your own quality of work, and whether if you have a hard time just nailing nails with a hammer, then that might be something to practice over and over again. So if you are up on a rafter or something and you are having in a very precarious situation and you're having to nail a nail up there with a hammer, you have the habit of doing it well and doing it properly, and it's a safer option as well. So let's keep going.
And I don't know about you, but I became happier when I began to emphasize exceptional in place of good enough. So a couple of practical examples of system. They can range from training yourself that when you're drilling a hole through wood, that you back off on the pressure and pick up on the speed on the drill bit as it's getting ready to emerge. Now that's true with steel too, that as you're getting to, when the bit is ready to emerge, you back off on the pressure and pick up on the speed.
It's a little thing.
It's just a habit. You can get into the habit. That's just an example. Or when you're pouring concrete and you are setting your forms or putting in the rebar and you begin to think of a pour date, make it part of your system to schedule the trucks and the pumps early, like 2 weeks early, because it's going to reduce the panic when you get to the end and you realize, oh man, I didn't reserve a pump. It becomes a system that at the first moment that you have any idea of when that pour is going to be ready, you schedule the work. Now those are two ends, vastly different, but they relate to the same idea, that you set some markers for yourself that are practical, that are achievable,
he's got a lot of
and
experience.
that will just sort of increase the likelihood for you and your client that you are going to underpromise and overdeliver.
That idea of staging isn't just true for construction. I'm sure whatever job that you're in, your full-time job or your hobbies that you have, planning ahead and so-called staging, you're planning ahead and you're looking forward to, okay, here's what's got to happen the next several steps, not just what the next step is, but go ahead and look ahead. What are the next several steps to this project? If you're building a shed or whatever you're doing, even at your again, like your vocation, your job, looking ahead and planning ahead, man, it really does reduce the stress in that, and it really does make things go a lot faster. When it comes time to needing whatever supplies or other people that you need to come in and do some work. So great point.
Now, as I wrap this up, and particularly if you're young in the trades, and you're asking yourself, yeah, but you haven't really told me how to learn this. Well, most of it you're going to learn from the people around you.
Yep.
And you will learn from the people around you if you don't assume you understand why they're doing what they do. If you remain curious and open-minded and avoid like a poison the thought process that we all have that, oh, that's dumb, oh, my way's better, or my tool's better, or don't do that. Ask the question all the time, why did you do it like that?
Yeah.
And put a tone in your voice that helps them understand you're genuinely curious. Because people will teach someone who's curious and they will not waste their time with someone who already knows everything.
Yeah, true, so true.
Make yourself vulnerable. When they tell you why they did something, say, that's a great idea. If you can make yourself say that, even if you don't believe it, you just prime the pump so the next time you ask them why they do something, you might learn something that you would not have picked up for 15 years into your future.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it helps
humble.
to pick these things up early by remaining curious, by being ready to surrender the false position that you already know everything that's going on the job. Nothing stunts you more than that. And nothing helps you to grow more than making yourself a student of everyone around you all the time. All right, so let me just tell you this. My satisfaction as a construction worker began to increase when I started thinking less about how much I was making and more about the quality of the product I was leaving people with. Now, you can't forget about how much you're making.
You know, typically the finances for a project or a job or something follow the quality of work. If you get a reputation, as we mentioned earlier, a reputation for being known to do quality, high quality work or doing things the proper right way, then usually the money follows that. And that's a great point he's making here.
Doggone it, sometimes you need to quit a job when you've already learned all the bad habits that person has and you've resolved to never duplicate them and they don't pay enough anyway, and you go find a spot where they value excellent work. Or you realize that the client that you're talking to about the remodel that you're going to do for them is so fixated on the dollar that there's no way you can afford to do something you're going to be proud of. You've got to be able to change.
Yep.
And economics is part of this. But economics is less a part of it on the front end of a career than it is on the back end of a career. Because sometime along the line, if you want to do quality work, you have to just bite the bullet, and no matter what it costs, make sure that at the end of the day, you've done something that you can be proud of.
Amen.
Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.
So good. So good. You could tell that, I don't know his name on here, but you could tell that he has just a wealth of experience, that he's learned so much, probably the hard way, and he is giving us that experience in these bite-sized portions throughout his channel, different videos. I encourage you, watch his channel, just so good. And I've just learned just little from the details. I mean, he had a lot of details in this video, but the big picture topics like this one today, the mindset of doing high quality work, but the details of, drilling through a board and just holding back at the last moment. Because a lot of the actual work that we do, right, is in the details. And the level, the quality of work that we do is in the details. So grateful for this channel and what he's teaching us. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, and I will leave a link to his channel down below. And if you've not already done so, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you and your support, and we'll see you on the next video.